Hello everyone, welcome back to another remote sensing lecture video. And in this lecture video, I want to sort of define some of the terms that we came across in the previous video. So we're going to be defining terms. Okay. And so again, just like last time, I've sort of incorporated what we did into our error matrix so it's nice and clean and we don't have a whole bunch of chicken scratch all over it. And I want to talk specifically about this producer's accuracy and this user's accuracy, and what these values represent and why they mean different things. So user's accuracy, right, or sorry, overall accuracy, right, we're pretty straightforward. This is just the overall accuracy of the model, right? This is how well the model did overall. That's useful for sure, but it might not be as interesting as some of the things that we're looking at for the individual rows and columns. You could imagine, and I think with some ease here, that maybe you were doing a classification where you had one class in particular that you were really concerned with. Say you were trying to map an invasive species, and it was an herbaceous invasive species, and your image was classified to have that species, woody vegetation, urban areas, water, and beach, for example. So you had 5 classes. And you only really care about the invasive species, right? You don't care if it's mixing up beach and urban, as long as the class that you actually care about does well. You aren't quite as worried about overall accuracy. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So let's talk about what user's accuracy actually means. Right, we already said that to get user's accuracy, right, it was the number that was correct in the row divided by the row total. But what does this mean? The way that I always think of user's accuracy, right, because it's literally the proportion of correctly identified pixels relative to the total number of validation points in that class. This tells you how accurate your existing data is. Right. Put another way, right, this is the likelihood that if you were to grab a water pixel off of your existing map, how likely it is that that water pixel on the map would actually be water. Right, so the reason this is called user's accuracy is because this is really the metric that tells you how accurate your existing map is, right? Because again, if this number is really high, relative to this number, that means that the majority of the pixels that the map classified as water were actually water, which means your map did a really good job, right? The map that you have is really good for water, right? So that's user's accuracy, right? How accurate is your existing map, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Let's talk about producer's accuracy. So producer's accuracy, again, right, that's the number that's correct in the column divided by the column total to give you producer's accuracy. Right, so producer's accuracy, if you think about it, right, that's the proportion of correctly identified pixels relative to the total number of pixels that you fed it in the validation data. So put another way, right, you can think of this as, how well your model will predict new data. right? How well will your model predict new data? Okay, so this tells you how accurate your existing data is. This tells you how accurate your model will be if you feed it a different data set. Okay, very important distinction to make here. How accurate your existing data is. So if you're going to use this map for something, how accurate it is. Right? This tells you how accurate your model is at predicting new data. So if you were to bring a new image in, how accurate might that image be? Okay. Ooh. Another way to think about this: old data, new data. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, I know we just threw out some very brief definitions here, but hopefully they make sense in terms of what we're pulling from. And again, relating back to what these individual boxes mean. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you.